Good news. Pauline and I have had a victory already in the industrial relations negotiations. Good industrial relations legislation is fundamental to rebuilding the productive capacity of Australian business. And for that, we need to restore productive workplace relations between employees and employers. That's fundamental. The government claims its legislation, which will be before the Senate in March, will bring reform to create jobs and stimulate economic recovery after government-imposed COVID restrictions. I'm consulting with union bosses, industry groups, small businesses, and many other groups on the government's proposed bill. My initial summary is that there is a long way to go yet to get our support on the legislation. The stakeholders that I've listened to so far do not believe the legislation, as it is, will deliver on reform, job creation, or economic recovery. For any chance to stimulate recovery and protect jobs, we need real improvement. First and foremost, I'm passionate about positive employer-employee relationships and a fit-for-purpose IR system. From my experience, my aims for real industrial relations reform include, firstly, protecting honest workers. Secondly, protecting small business. Thirdly, restoring our country's productive capacity. In summary, my view of the proposed legislation is that I do not support, firstly, complex legislation that is beyond the average small to medium business to understand and manage. Secondly, more money being diverted to the IR club, the lawyers, the IR consultants, the union bosses and the industry associations, who all profit from complicated legislation. Thirdly, any change to the Better Off Overall test or the BOOT test, it needs to be left as it is to protect workers. When we told the government we could not accept changes to the BOOT test, they backed down and agreed to leave it as it is. One Nation does support scaled back, simple, fit-for-purpose IR legislation. A better deal for small business. IR legislation needs to be made more accessible for this vital sector of our economy, the biggest employer in Australia. Thirdly, a clearer definition of casual and the right to remain as a casual with appropriate casual loadings. And fourthly, protection of casuals' back pay entitlements without double dipping. As I've already said, one of the most important elements of IR should be the employer and employee relationship, without the interference of the IR club. I've made a submission to the inquiry on the industrial relations legislation, and I've contributed through questions at the hearing in Townsville, and it was very pleasing to hear that even the union bosses are fed up with the excessive complexities in industrial relations and they need for lawyers. They want to get rid of lawyers. There must be a better way, and it's time for a change. We know that small to medium-sized businesses have suffered the most under government-imposed COVID restrictions. And One Nation is committed to a better deal for small business and honest workers. While IR is a key piece of the bigger picture Australia needs for lasting economic recovery, of more importance are energy security and energy affordability, investment in skills development, and a fair, honest and transparent tax system for individuals and businesses, and eliminating over-regulation. One Nation continues to listen to stakeholders to ensure we can bring about the improvements that are needed to make the legislation more useful for Australia's economic recovery. Better for business, better for jobs, and better for honest workers.